on page Tav Kuf Pei Ches. So there's a new pasuk here, the new pasuk on the block, and it says like this. It says the pasuk is Ze Yomer Lo Hashem Ani. So I don't see any problems with this. It's a simple statement. Let's see what he says. Ze, it's Ze that says that I am for Hashem. Bebira pasuk Zecha B'Yomer Lo Hashem Ani. That phrase Shehevich B'Sifra D'Tzniutakan. Beyond the Bebira Meshulav of Derek Marie Saruk. Kan Shabir the Ira Babinin his Chavel Zer Anpin. It has to do with the coming into being of Zer Anpin. A Kolul Babes Bechinas Yaakov Yisrael. Excuse me. These two aspects. One is from the Chaz of the Mata, the other one the Chaz of the Mala. And through Abba Ve'ima, Be'iva Rishon in the first Iver, Ein Sham Ba'orech. So there's a lot to be said about that over there. So this really goes along with what we said up above, because Sif Zeb, so the Shtalshlus Metzius Zer Anpin, this all has to do with the development of the existence of Zer Anpin Be'iver Rishon, but only we're talking here about in his gestation period, when he's being gestured, when he's in the womb of Ima, let's say, I guess so to speak. So now he says, of Od Biurim Bezeh. So now on the phrase Zeh Yomer Lo Hashem Ani, there are other Biurim. Here's the first one. The first one says like this: Rei B'or Yakar Sham. Shabir the Fidarko Hanau. He says, V'zel L'shona B'zecha V'yomer Lo Hashem Ani. Zeh Yichto V'yado Lo Hashem. V'zeh, so he said, V'yomer Lo Hashem Ani, that's part of it. And then he said, "V'zeh yichtov yado lo Hashem," and this will write, his handwrite to Hashem. What's that mean? So we said some things about that before. So he said, shlosha mitzios. So this teaches you about three different realities. Now there's a little note on this. We'll pick it up. It's just little. Let me see if I can get closer. He says. So he said, "Levanena b'ver gimel dargos." There are three different levels. One level is Zeh Yomer Lo Hashem Ani. Now he had told us really what Zeh Yomer Hashem means, but he says there's three different levels. That's one of them. So then there's another one called Zeh Yichtov Yado Lo Hashem. So he will handwrite. That's why I call Yichtov Yado to Hashem. And the third one is V'Shem Yisrael Yechane. So he'll be called by the name Yisrael. Yesh Lomer Od, he said, Amilos. Well, so why isn't he explaining these words particularly? That is what Milos, V'Zechu Yikrach B'Shem Yaakov. And there's another one, why, I guess what he means is that wasn't this one included in those three? I'm not sure. Zeh Yikrach B'Shem Yaakov, and this one, Zeh, will also be called by the name of Yaakov. So let's go on from number Kaftas, and he says once again, V'hineh Zecha Piyora Al Shlosh Mitzios. We just heard some talk about that. Shrashim Ashech of the Tiferes. So these are roots that come into Tiferes, Shehem Chochma Bina and Das. So what are we talking about here? The Hainu Chech Elyon, the Tachton, the Lashon Canal. So now, just a new wording here. He says, the chech, you have an upper chech, an upper palate, and a lower palate. It's not chech v'gomer. It's not chech, but where someplace else we saw the word lishon. So he says, once again, Dahainu chech elyon v'tachton, v'lashon kanal, echad b'chochma atzmai, v'sham he neflo ne'olemes. I guess he wants to say that it's hidden there. So it's panimi to everything else and not revealed. So this is the reason why you have this phrase. We're trying to understand this. I am for Hashem. Mila Zez, what does Mila Zez mean? Ku Yisod is the Yisod. Sheyesh Mitzido Od Shisa. So it has by itself, the Yisod has what? I guess he says Sheyesh Mitzido. So I guess it means it, well, in his side and relating to it, Od Shis, another 6. So we have a little something. He says, this is number Lamed down below. Okay. So we have a number lamed down below. So he says, "K'mavur be'idra Rabba." He said, "B'seder b'tzadik yisad oilam." That phrase. Am I in the right place? I think I am. Yisod oilam kolu shis bekartufa gachada. So he's talking about yisod. Yisod has within it, in its own pouch, so to speak, as a kli. It has 6 inside of it. So let's see what else we said. Let me go backwards a little bit. He says, "V'lezer omer Hashem ani." Mila zeh hu hayisod sheyesh mitzido od shisa, that has 6 other spheros. At least the essence of those spheros, it's inside of it. The Handa Shehem Shisa Mama'ala the Mata, you could count 6 from the top to the bottom. Mamata Lamala, and also from the bottom to the top. I'm not sure exactly what I get out of this. Shehem Yachad Yud Beis, obviously 6 and 6, depending on how you count, it comes to 12. The Handa Kamis Bar Zeh, which is the gematria of Zeh. So this is a proof that Zeh refers to Yisod. So it says, Amar la Hashem. And he says, and it's a Yomer, and we'll say for Hashem. The Haina Chochma Ani. So what's Hashem? He says, Hashem over here, or you could move the name Hashem around a little bit. And so he says that this here, the Hainu Chochma Ani, that I am Chochma. Hainu. The Masik Zeh Yomer Hashem Ani Achsa. So here we go to another phrase. There Zeh, which he just says the number 12. That's Yisod from the top to the bottom, and the bottom from the top is 12. Zeh Yomer Hashem Ani Achsa. Now what does that mean? So we had this big thing about the word Achsa Modah. So Achsa, I think over there meant different things, different places, but maybe it meant Chochma. The Haile Mitziyusa B'Chochma Hanikra Achsa. So he says its existence is in from Chochma, which is called Achsa. V'zeh Yichtov Yad Hashem. And so this is the meaning of the phrase V'zeh, which is this 12. Yichtov will write Yadu Hashem. His hand will be of Hashem. Yadu Hashem, so his hand will be for Hashem. Hainu Mitziyos Zeh, which is a gematria Yud Beis. Kedifrashnu, Shu Babina. So here he says it refers to Vina, Hanikwas Yud Vadai. It's also called, it's called, I've read that wrong. So Babina, Hanikwas Yad Vadai. It's called a Yad. So just let me look at it again. Zeh, where is the word? V'zeh Yichtov Yado. V'zeh, who's that 12 that we're talking about? Yichtov Yado, Hashem. And he says Yad, he will be the writing of his hand. So it refers to Bina, he says. Yad Yud Dalid eating, which is, I don't know what this is. He says this is the secret of the 4 different times. Latav or Lamutav. Now Latav, I think it means good, and Lamutav, I think means not good. Ha'olam Yachad Kaf Ches. Ha'olam Yachad Kaf Ches. So Yad is 14, and he says the tav and the mutav makes it 28. So what do we got here? This is the koach. And it will handwrite to Hashem. So here he says v'yichtov, and will write yado, that is the bina, he said, la Hashem. So he says, and you'll put all of this together, join it together, b'mata lamala, going upwards until you reach Chochma, which is called La Hashem. So what is it? I'm not sure exactly what he said. It's always a little vague over here. He said, B'Shem Yisrael Yechone, and also be called by the name Yisrael Da'ayin B'Pitzius Emsoi. What does that mean? That's the reality of being the middle line. Which is really between Bina and Chochma. It's in between, it's in the balance in between. And where do you see it written? You see it written in the body, which is Yisrael, which refers to the Gufa, he says. Now this is all really, really very scattered proofs or ideas, I think. So he says, it's hard to put them together, but maybe as we go along, we'll see how all of this could be. So he said, B'Shem Yisrael the Mata Shuhu Gufa. Yechana Lishon. So also we use the word Lishon, which refers to the tongue, Shuhu Shisa the Nafkim, Ma'anfa the Shorsha Kadifrishno. So this idea of Lishon, according to this drasha, it refers to the 6 that go out from the branch, the shorsha, which is the branch of the root, kadifrishnu, and maybe we'll see something on that. Has you got something on that? Ad kan v'ayin sham od. A lot of different ideas there. Not sure exactly what they're doing for me, but we'll see. So there was a lamed aleph here. Here's an aleph. Ulai kavanasa. Maybe what he's trying to say is this. The midas yachane, when it says yachane, hu maloshin mechoinim umasukun. Okay, so that's like preparing it or something like that. Not calling by the name. Ritzon lomer sha'emsoi shuhu hadas. So the middle line. The middle line is das. Hanimshach beloshin, that extends down into the tongue. So he says hanimshach beloshin. So he says over there, Yechane, Mechonin, and Mesukun, that it is prepared, I guess it's prepared and fixed up as Gufa, Shuhut, Tiferes, Hanikra, Yisroel. So what it does, what the Das does, or the middle line, is it creates, or it builds the body, which is called also Tiferes, and it's also called Yisroel. Kiradas mispashet al yidei haloshin. The tongue allows das to spread ad the mata begufa until it reaches into the body. So I guess the tongue, I'm not really sure how the tongue, where it starts in your anatomy, but it goes into the throat, I guess, into the body. Once I say it, it spreads into the middle line. Commotion is boyer la'er be'inyan shisha the nafkim ma'am for the shorsha, like we said before, that 6 come out from the branch of the root. So that concept there is the concept of the tongue, which brings everything into the body. Yisrael Yechane. So that's what it means, that by the name of Yisrael, which is the body, that it be prepared in order to do that delivery. Let's go to, that was some ideas, but it hasn't rung a bell in my brain yet. So then let's go to the next one. He said, Befirish Talmud, when we come over here and we talk about the Talmud, which I'm not sure who's the Talmud. Do you know who the Talmud is? I mean, the Talmud is one of the students of the Ari.
Yeah, yes, I don't know.
Okay. And he said, Befirish Talmud, Bir Kan Lefi Darko, he says what? Okay, well, that agrees with the previous Pirish, I guess. They're always talking about the middle line. But and this is what he says. Zeh Yomer LaHashem Ani. So Zeh is doing the talking, and he says, I'm for Hashem. Ratzon Alom B'Ki Zeh Gematria Yud Beis. So here we're going through that same kind of thing. It's Yud Beis Kuhu HaYisod. A Moshech called a Yud Beis Savayus Asher Behem B'Vav Kitzvais. Let me just say that again. He says that what is able to do is pull down to itself the 12 Havayos that you find in the Vav Kitzvahs. Now, I didn't know how we got 12. So if you want to say 12, like we saw in the where the or Yakar, like we saw over there, we said it goes up is 6, going down is 6. I'm not sure how he got to 12 here. So he says over there, he says period. There's a little Lamed Gimel down at the bottom. Let's see if we can get any help on it from there. And he says, Lamed Gimel says, this is Zohar, he says, so Zeh is the same thing as Tzaddik. Now, I know Zos, the word Zos, refers to Malchus. So Zeh, he says, is Yesod, and I'm just saying that I know that Zos in other places is Malchus. So Zan Zos, okay, whatever. V'zecha v'dod tzadik, ad kan. U'v'zohar also, he says, v'zel l'shona, he quotes over here, v'razel olif lecha v'zecha zeh spheros. I don't know if this is spheros, etc. I know that's a quote over there in that Zohar. I didn't look it up. V'do chad tzaddik v'ikra zeh. So this refers, once again, this is one tzaddik. The tzaddik is called Zeh. Zeh, Sifra, Sifra, or Zeh, whatever that is. V'kein kuba b'bri etzchaim. V'zal l'shon b'pasuk, on this pasuk, al Zeh koya dov livenu. So to seeking Zeranda, to seeking Yisod, that's where the love is found. Or okay, let's just use that word. Yikavin ki Zeh hu Yisod, so therefore another raya that Zeh refers to Yisod. Okay, so let's go back to, that was number 33, so where were we up there? So he says that had been, so again, he said, Ki hu ha-yisod Moshe called the Yud Beis Kavaya Shecha B'chein B'vav Kitzvos V'zeh hu ha-yisod. So I just would have a question of what he's talking about, the 12 Avayos. Unless you're counting from the bottom to the top and the top to the bottom, that gives you 12, but he's talking about Havayos. I don't know exactly what to do there. Yom B'Perish Yechavev. So let me just make a note here. He says Yomer Pirish Yechavev. There we go. So he says Yomer. The explanation Yomer Pirish Yechavev means to love or cherish. LaHashem. Ratzon Aloma to Tiferes. So when he says that refers to Tiferes. LaHashem is usually Zeranpin, which is Tiferes. Ani, the word Ani, Ratzon Aloma Malchus Anikra Ani, who is called Ani. So we have all these substitute words for ideas. So the phrase was Zeh Yomer LaHashem Ani. So if you say Zeh is Yisod, so we'll say LaHashem, and the Shem, I guess, I thought he meant the 12, he says Havayos, Ani. So it sounds like a transfer into Ani. Maybe that's what it could be. So let's look a little bit more. And so he said, V'yomer Pirish Yechavev LaHashem, Ritzon Alomer Tiferes Ani, that is, Ampharish, Ritzon Alomer Malchus Nikras Ani. Masha Amar L'Chalona, we have this coming up later on, LaHashem Ani, LaHashem Ani Achsa. So apparently that's coming up. Achsa was Chochma before, Ritzon Alomer Bina. And now he says, Achsa is Bina. Ki he sasin la'elot, because it's closed up above. For who sod Yisod Abba, and it's a secret of the Yisod of Abba. What's closed up inside? I'm not sure. So let's go back and see if there's anything that we can glean from. He has a whole bunch of little pieces here. And let's look at number, before we go on too much further, let's look at number Lamadal. This says Reba Rashi. Look over Rashi over there. It's in Brachos. He said, "V'zal l'shona ha'marti ha'amrat lashon chashivus shevach." So when it says zeh yomer means, so how you translate zeh, which is malchus, which is yisod. He says praises l'Hashem, and then he says ani. Okay, don't know what to do with it. So he says, let's go to number Lamed Hey. Ritzon Alomer, Lamed Hey went on the phrase, Umasha Omer L'Chalon L'Hashem Ani Ach. So he said, Ritzon Alomer, V'zel L'Shono Ha'amrat, you said, Lashon Chashivos V'Shevach. That's what we said before. So this Yomer is like a praise. Ad Kan, Ein Sham, he says, look over there. I guess we did that already. Okay, I'm sorry, we're on number Lamed Hey. Let's get a pirush on that. Pirush, Hayisod Shenikra Zeh. Okay, we got two pirushim that agree with that thought. Hu HaGorem Shechammalchus Nikras Ani, is that agency that causes Malchus to be called Ani. Tihiyah Chaviva, the Tiferes will be really loved and desired by Tiferes Hanikra Havaya. Kecha Yisod Gorem Yichud Tiferes Umalchus. Okay, so this is the idea over here, is giving us an interior view as much as possible of the relationship of what Yisod is able to accomplish by bringing Malchus and Tiferes together. Now that was number Lamed Hey. After Lamed Hey it says, right before it says, Ritzon Alomer Malchus Hanikra Ani, Mash Amalach Alon Lach Hashem Ani, where it says later on, I am for Hashem. Let me go over that again. Mash Amalach Alon Lach Hashem Ani, Achsa Ani, Achsa. So we got this word Achsa, which we just said, referred to Chochmah. So he said, so he says, though, before we said it was Chachma, here he says, Ritzon Lomer Bina. Ki he sansim la'ela, v'hu sod yisod abba. Now I need help with that. So down here we say over there, and I'll read again also, one more time, we're reading a Ritzon Lomer Bina, which is closed up above, that is beyond Zeranpin. V'hu sod yisod abba, and it's the secret of the Yisod of Abba. Now, what does the Yisod of Abba have to do with Bina? So, of course, they do have what to do with each other, but what exactly is it? Number Lamed Vav writes, Ki lefi zeh yizboyer ha'pasuk zeh yomer l'chavavaya al Yisod Abba. So now he's explaining this, that the phrase zeh yomer l'chavaya, he is talking about Yisod, but he's talking about the Yisod of Abba, Hamachabed es Bina, who loves and desires Bina, Hanikras Achsa, who is called the sister. That's like Lashon sister. So then he goes back on this. He doesn't really like that much, but Ki Gam Achsa, he Malchus, and Achsa is also Malchus. Later on he gets to that. So we got to really moving around the different words. So let's go to Lamed Vav up above, and let's see what it says. V'ha'ikar, the main thing is this: Achsa hu hamalchus. Okay, so this is where he changes his mind, where he says Achsa was Bina. Before I thought Achsa was Chochmah. Ani. So this word is really looking at this word ani. Sha'ani, who's so the Malchus, because Ani means Malchus. So he said, V'zev Yom Hashem Ani. So Hashem, so to me, okay, he says that refers to Malchus, and then you go back to Malchus and Zeranpin again, or Tiferes. The Masha Amba V'zecha V'yikra B'Shem Yaakov, in that phrase where it says, and this will be called by the name Yaakov. He says, Ratzon Lomer Ki Hine Yedua. Sheyesh kama mini zivugim v'zigvud Leah v'Yisrael v'Kain Yaakov v'Rachel, although there's many different kinds of Yehudim. V'zecha she'ama yikrach b'shem Yaakov v'zecha yichtov yadol l'Hashem b'shem Yisrael yichane. So these are different phrases. So he says, and zechu she'ama yikrach b'shem Yaakov v'zecha yichtov yadol l'Hashem. And this will write his hand. The hand we saw before Bina, I don't know, B'Shem Yisrael Yechana, and it'll be called by the name Yisrael. Help. So he was a number Lamed Zion. The Zohar comes and says like this. He said, V'Ritzel Lashona, Ani Dosh Chinta. So that's Malchus. So Ani, everybody's agreeing with that, Ad Kan. V'chein Chubit Tikuni Zohar, that the Kuni Zohar said, V'Ritzel Lomaki Dehila. The Amar Zeh. So Zeh says this, Yomer l'Hashem, that he should say l'Hashem Ani. Shu, what is the phrase? Put this together. Try to tell me what it means. Shu inyan yichud yisod malchus. This is what it's talking about. Let's read it again. Ritzon olam b'kitechila Amar Zeh. So really, Zeh is talking. So we think Zeh really refers to Yisod. Yomer l'Hashem will say for Hashem Ani. Ani is for Hashem. Once Hashem. Once Tiferes, is that possible? Shu inyan yichud yisod of malchus. This is the yichud that takes place in the yisod of malchus, but klalos, generally speaking. The general, I guess he means in the concept of the yichud of malchus, there's and yisod, and there are different places. Is v'achar kach mefarsh pasuk ofane hazivu shall yisod and nikra. So now they're taught the different ways that there's a yichud. So we have the Yisod and Nikra Zeh. The Yisod is called Zeh. V'omer v'zeh b'yikra b'shem Yaakov, and Zeh could also be called by the name Yaakov, Shehu Yisod, the parts of Ekev, the parts of Yaakov. Hamisyached imracha. Again, the words again. He said v'omer v'zeh. Who's Zeh? Zeh, we said everybody's agreeing so far that it refers to Yisod. Zeh Yikra b'shem Yaakov. So Zeh also could be called by the name Yaakov. Why would it be called the name Yaakov? Shuhu Yisod, the parts of Yaakov. Because here's the Zeh that you're talking about, is the Zeh of the Valk of Zeranpin, which is Yaakov. Hamisyached im Rachel, that makes a Yichud with Rachel. The Zeh, back to Zeh, Yichtov Yadach l'Hashem. These are that other phrase. He's going to handwrite, or his hand will write for Hashem. V'shem Yisrael Yechane, and also be called by the name Yisrael or Yechane, will be prepared to become Yisrael, maybe because he's saying Yechane really means to be prepared. He said, V'shem Yisrael Yechane, who Yisod, the parts of Yisrael. And there you're talking about, when he says the phrase, V'shem Yisrael Yechane, he says there, you're talking about a different Yisod. Yisod, the parts of Yisrael. Now, here, I guess he means to say for the Chaz Lamala is a partziv. And he's not talking, and therefore there's a yichud that's going to take place at its yisod. That's actually a very, a little deeper idea. Hamisyached Leah, that makes a yichud with Leah. Okay, that's what he said. He said it out. So he said, Yichtov Yado, so that phrase where he says, the hand will write for Hashem, what is he said? B'shem Yisrael Yechane, and to be prepared for Yisrael. That's really referring to the yichud that's taking place from the Chaz Lamala between Yisrael and Leah. Misyached im Leah, that yichud takes place there. And as we go along, it explains further. Ki Yichtov Yado, that phrase Yichtov Yado, Hu Yisod. That's the writing of the hand, right? The writing of the hand, which, I don't know, previously he said that that it referred to Bina. So he says that the hand is a Yudal, is a concept of Bina. I didn't really see the riot of that, but he said that. But now, as he's going on, he's going to continue talking about it. I was going to say something else. Ki Yichtov Yado, when he says the writing, the hand, Hu Hayisod She'inyin Kesiva, Hu be Yisod. So Kesiva, you have to think about the metaphor between being Kesiva and Yisod. So I'm trying to just get through this little piece right here. It goes down to Lamed Tes. Uv'shem Yisrael Yechane, that was number Lamed Zayin. It says, Ki Yisod Nirmaz B'milas Yechane. How is that? Because what does it do? It prepares the yichud that's to take place between, this is me talking, the yichud that's going to take place between the Malchus and Tiferes. So he says, Yechane, Shehu Gematria, Ima Kolel, Pevav, which is Elokim. Shehu Gematria Elokim. Shehu Gevur Shebes small. So where were we talking about that? Yechane, once again, because I know we're running out of time. So once again, though, let's try to put it together. So he says the word Yechane is the gematria of Po. So he said Po is Elokim, Shehu gematria Elokim, Shehu Gevur Shebes small. Now we moved over the left side. Why? Ki Yesod Noita L'Smol Katzas, because the Yesod has to be inclined a little bit towards the left. Why? Because the Nook is on the left. That's what I would say. He said, "V'yudua ki kol aksiva v'hachasima," that all of the writing, we talk about that, and the sealing, hein besod, the yisod, all of that comes from yisod because that's the impression that it makes. So this is like a metaphor, like we had seen in other places, where the yisod, so to speak, goes into the yisod of the nukva. And what's happening over there? So it's exchanging, let's say, the chesadim that are inside of it and making an impression there. Maybe that's a concept of writing. Before for Omer Zecha B'Yom Hashem Ani, where he says Achsa Ritzon Lo Yisod Keniska the El, it's all talking about Yisod. There's a little bit more that we could pick up here on the Lamed Tes or Lamed Ches. We'll look at that first. He said Be'inyan Natias Yisod, the small Rei Od. So there's other sides to that. So we understand that the Nuch is on the left. Because of Sham, a number Lamed Tes Sham Sham Od. He says like this. V'chein kasev Rabbi Moshe Chazukuta Olav Shalom is a Gavanas a Kasiva Shel Hashem Zal. When he's talking about the Gavana of writing the name Hashem, B'yisod Hedvila Shetzarak Lidbo Yud Gimel Tefilos Shehem B'sod Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikna. Now I don't know where this is coming from. So he says he's talking about writing. Does he mean to say that the sofer has to dip his pen in the ink, so to speak, 13 times? Is that what he's talking about? I don't know. So the tefillah, which is dipping, immersing. Lit vol yud gimel malchios tefillah, excuse me, episode yud gimel tikkun dikna. So it's the idea of bringing something down through the beard. V'zech episode gimel yisod shehem gimel chavayas, which is the secret of three yisodos. Which are they? I don't know. Which is the secret of three havayas. Yisod Ima, Ekya, V'Yisod Yisrael, Havaya, V'Yisod Delea, Adni. So this is a whole subject that I'm not familiar with, but it looks interesting. Ad Kan, V'Ratzon Lomer, the Hainu Time B'Shum, the Chesiva B'Lesiva, Hu V'Yisod K'Mavur Kan. Okay, let's just finish up this last idea. This is like, all kinds of different ideas that we don't know, and hopefully they'll be developed. He says that we talked about the 13 tevilos that have to do with the Tikkun Dikna. I'm not sure what the subject is. I'm assuming he means the writing, because he talked about writing, and writing is part of our subject. So he says there are Gimel Yisod, the Shehem Gimel Havayas, which are three Havayas. Yisod Ima, Ekya is called Ekya. That's not a Havaya. I don't know what that meant exactly. Yisod Yisrael, which is Havaya. Yisod Delea, which is Adni, Adkan. That's a quote from over there. He said, that's what we're trying to tell you. Why does Kasiva have to do with Yisod? Kabavur Khan was explained over there. In other words, there's three different places where you see the Yisod. And I think that it's really a little curvish when you say that a Yisod is Ima, is called Ekya. Okay, it's called Ekya, but that's a Yichud of Yisod. The same thing with Yisrael. He's an Havaya, but it's a Yichud and Yisod. The same thing with Leah, her Yisod, called Adni. Ritzon alone, but the Haindach of the time of B'Shum, the Chesiva of Yisod. This is what we're trying to say. The Chesiva happens in the Yisod. K'mavur b'kan b'sod yichtov yado. The writing of the hand is something to do with the actions of Yisod. V'chein yesh l'kavim b'chesiva b'sod gimel Yisodos. So there, when we're talking about writing, we're talking about the three Yisodos. That's it.